Welcome everyone, ladies and gentlemen. I am pleased to be able to tell you today that a phased re-entry of people back into our community is now underway. Throughout this whole ordeal, since our residents left our homes and belongings behind, one question has been at the top of their minds: when can we go home? A dedicated team of more than 1,400 dedicated professionals has worked tirelessly in our community since the evacuation to answer that question. And thanks to their dedication, we are able to start bringing people home to Slave Lake. I want to stress that this is not a general call for everyone to come back. We have a planned approach for reentry. The first phase of reentry has been ensuring that critical infrastructure is in place. That has now happened. Our drinking water has been declared safe, though a boil water advisory is in effect. There is no threat of wildfires restarting in the vicinity of our communities. Essential services are back in operation, including power, water, natural gas, as well as hospital and 911 services. And we have some reentry supports in place, including some temporary housing and a community social center that will provide returning residents with a variety of social services and information. Our priority has been to ensure that our community is safe and livable. And with these services in place, we're on our way. The second phase of the reentry plan will begin today, and that's right, today. Get my page. This will involve the return of essential workers, including healthcare providers, utility personnel, protective and emergency personnel, and local government service providers. All essential workers have been contacted directly and will return to town to get things up and running in preparation for others to return. The next stage of the reentry plan is the return of owners and workers of key regional businesses. The final phase of reentry plan will include all other residents with a planned reentry. I can't tell you the exact date for the third and fourth phase of this plan, but I can say we're talking about days. We want to ensure a safe and orderly return. And I'm very grateful for the collaboration working with the MD of Lesser Slave River. I've been working closely with the Reeve, Denny Garrett this past week. And together, our councils have pulled together to work as a team, and very proud of that. As well, I know we wouldn't be here today with this news if it wasn't for the tremendous support of our provincial government and Alberta Emergency Management Agency. We know our Premier cares about us, Minister Goudreau and the other ministers, deputy ministers, our MLA, and the provincial staff that have offered to help us has been outstanding. And it's just truly heartwarming to know we're not alone. The Alberta Emergency Management Agency, amazing, talented people that have come here to help us on the ground. I feel honored to work with them as part of our team, and I'm just proud to be an Albertan with that type of resource and that type of compassion for our residents. And of course, behind me, you can see our many heroes are here with us today. Our firefighters, our emergency personnel, our utilities people that never really left our community. I have to thank them. They're heroic, their courage and bravery. We had no loss of life, and we have many, many buildings standing because of them, and I just want to thank them here today as well. I'd also like to thank the many communities throughout Alberta who have been hosting and assisting our displaced residents. It's tremendous support we've received, and I appreciate their generosity. And I know there's countless others that work so hard to make our community ready for us to come home. The plan I've just outlined reflects what incredibly complex undertaking we are dealing with, and it's just one step of what is still a long journey ahead, including the return of those who have lost their homes. But it is certainly good news for our community. We want to get our residents home as safely and quickly as possible. And with the continued cooperation of residents and our partners, we'll get the job done. Those of you who aren't from Slave Lake might not know this, but this gazebo was built to symbolize the rebirth of our town after a catastrophic flood in the 80s. We came back from that, and we'll come back from this. Thank you. I'll just turn the mic over to our Reeve, Denny Garrett.
Thank you very much, Karina. Don't you just hate it when somebody steals your speech? I just want to reinforce the fact that we are so grateful for all the help that we have received in trying to restore our community. It's been arduous, it's been tough, it's been exciting, it's been sad, it's been glad. You go through every range of emotion to get to where we are today, but the ball is in motion. And my God, hopefully, without anyone kicking it sideways, everything will go as planned, and we'll have our people back into our community by the weekend. I'm not supposed to say that, I'm sorry, but my God, I hope it happens. And I would also like to add my thanks to the people behind us. Our firefighting crew, 28, 30 strong, 40 strong, they saved 70% of this town. They saved 70% of this town. They saved numerous homes in the MD, Canyon Creek, Wagner, Widewater, right through Poplar Lane. Without their help, without the help of the firefighters that came to give us a hand, who knows what we have lost. We are just so thankful that today we're here saying, come on home. It's time. Thank you. I'll turn the mic over to Chief Twin.
Good afternoon. I'd like to lead off by saying that the Sarge First Nation was quite fortunate. We didn't lose any structures on the reserve. We're very thankful to the Creator and all those looking out there after us. But I'd like to extend a special thank you to the Lesser Slave Lake Regional Fire Department, all the wildfire fighters, and all the volunteers. Without them, we wouldn't be here today looking at a re-entry. And just from our community to the bigger community, thank you very much, and hopefully we can offer some support in the coming days, and we'll be here. Thank you. I'd like to turn the mic over to Minister Goudreau, the Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Well, thank you very much, Chief, Mayor Billy Kinney, Reeve Garrett, Emily, Pearl Callahassan. Today we have heard about the steps being taken to complete the recovery of Slave Lake and the surrounding communities. This is not an easy or quick task. It's a marathon involving literally hundreds of people working very, very long hours. As the Mayor indicated, the people standing behind me are just a small portion, but an extremely important portion of all of those who have helped to move this community forward. I continue to be amazed at the work that is in progress under the leadership of the town of Slave Lake, the MD of Lesser Slave River, and the Sawridge First Nation in partnership with our government. And this is all to make this community safe and livable for the people of Slave Lake and surrounding communities. I know that people want their lives back, and it can be hard to see how each piece of the puzzle comes together. But I can tell you that each completed task leads directly to the next. This is about ensuring that services are here for the community as a whole, that there is a community to come back to. For every person and family affected, getting home is the first step back to the life that they had. The challenge is to meet that more than 7,000 times. I want to assure you that the Alberta government will be there with your officials after the return happens. We will continue to work with the local municipalities to ensure that people continue to have access to utilities personnel, emergency personnel, home inspectors, social services workers, and other supports that may be needed. People are still strongly encouraged to register with the Red Cross and make sure they have up-to-date information in order to contact all evacuees. The Red Cross database will be used to provide direct information to people, including fact sheets and timelines. Updates will also be posted on the wildfiresupport.alberta.ca website and supplied to evacuation reception centers. A community does not come through a common experience like this without change. Our challenge is to make that change as smooth and as positive as it can possibly be under the circumstances. Slave Lake and the surrounding communities already have the strongest foundation for the future, their ability to stand together. And this gazebo is a testament to some of the past challenges this community has had. As people return home and welcome their friends, neighbors, colleagues, and co-workers, they can strengthen that foundation so that the community that emerges from this disaster is even stronger than before. Now, I'll ask the local MLA, Pearl Callahassan, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hector. Minister Goudreau, Chief Twin, Mayor Karina, Reeve Denny, all the councillors that are here and who have been here throughout this whole arduous task. It's so good to be here today to hear the idea of coming back to our community, because every call that I've been getting, and there have been many, the people want to know when they're coming back. They know what has happened here. They know some of the rumors that have been going on, but they need to come home to know what has actually been going on and what they can see when they come home. I know they want to be here. So today, I'd just like to say a few thanks to a few people. First of all, thank you to the many people who were here first, and that's the emergency responders and our firefighters who evacuated our residents safely. They did an awesome job. Don't you agree? I thought they did awesome. Thank you. When you consider that a massive evacuation was completed in this emergency situation with no lives lost and no major injuries reported, big thanks to our local fire department and volunteers. You fought your hearts out, and especially at the onset of the disaster, and you are still on duty today and still involved. To the people of Slave Lake and the MD and the First Nation for evacuating in such an orderly fashion. I know how hard that was, but we thank you. To the countless number of people who have opened their hearts over the past week, to all our constituents, to the volunteers at those centers, you made us so welcome. Donations, supplies, and support from volunteers continue to pour in from all across the province and the country. Through their generosity and compassion, Albertans and Canadians have once again shown their true colors. To the political leaders that are here today, the town, the MD, the First Nation, your strength, your perseverance, and your leadership has shone through these tough times. Thank you. This has and continues to be an extremely difficult time for all of us from Slave Lake, the Municipal District of Lesser Slave River, and the Sawridge First Nation. So to all the people, the firefighters, to all the government representatives who are here to help us through this, thank you for all the skills, the knowledge, and everything that you bring to make sure that we can move back to our communities. Although many houses and buildings have been damaged and destroyed, the heart and soul of our community, our people, has survived. Together, we will rebuild our homes. our businesses, and our community buildings, and make them even better for current and future generations. Hundreds of extremely dedicated men and women continue to work together around the clock. In fact, I understand Chief Thompson here has stayed up till all hours of the morning this morning to make sure that this was done, to restore vital infrastructure and services so that we can all return home. I am so proud and so honored to represent the brave and resilient people of this region. Together, I know that we will emerge from disaster stronger and even more united than ever. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. And thank you to those brave souls back here who were there for us. We will never forget. And now I'll ask Chief Sampson to please come forward to address the technical information. Chief.
So, folks, I won't take a lot of your time. If I can leave you with one overarching thought and with 3 key points within that. The heart and soul of everything that has happened in this community has been the community itself and the way that they have responded. From the chief to the mayor to the reeve, the councillors and the residents, some of whom have lost their homes and have continued to work with us regardless of those circumstances. The heart and soul of this community is unbelievable, and it is strong. The first responders, and I'd acknowledge that Chief Jamie Coots is here today, the fire chief. The first responders who have given their blood, sweat, and tears to make this community work. And those first responders include some of the community residents too, not just the fire department and the police service and EMS. People like Wanda, Lana, Keith, and Carl, they've lost homes. See a couple of our fish and wildlife officers. 75% of them lost their homes in the fire that was related to this incident. So, and they're here, and they're taking care of the community. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, I am impressed with the government of Alberta. I get to say this because I'm not tied to any one group, but they have had unwavering support in this event, and I have loved the fact that as the EOC manager, when I call them, they get me what we need to do the job, and I'm terribly impressed with that. Something very special is happening here. A group of people from across the province, sometimes across the country, have gotten together. This community and this region will ultimately emerge stronger than before. And I guess there's one thing to remember, that diamonds are made under pressure. I do thank you, and we'll be available later for any technical questions you might have. Thank you.
So I think we'll open it up for questions and the specific, yeah. I'm sure it's substantial. I don't have figures and numbers to give you.
Hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while. Like I said, we're still in the reentry phase. We're still in the recovery and rebuilding, so it's going to take some time.
Mayor, would you say days would this weekend be an accurate portrayal, or at least a hope for a return for the general population?
Well, we're talking about days, and today very exciting with starting with the second phase of reentry. So we'll evaluate that as we go. So definitely days. I think we're in the 100 range and a plus, 100 plus. I just want to note there's quite a few already on the ground as well. So. Wow. Well, where do you start? It's unbelievable. I think there's over 1,400 people responding right now on the ground to get to where we are today, and it's around the clock. People are working around the clock. The partnerships we mentioned, it's been outstanding collaboration from across Alberta and Canada. So I think it's unprecedented for us to get to where we're at.
Is there a plan for a new town hall already, or where will town hall be?
Yep. We have planners right now working with us on that. We're looking at options to relocate our municipal governance MD Lesser Slave River. Thankfully, their office is intact, so that's well underway, those plans. There's so many support services we have to think of with reentry. Like I mentioned, we have a support center coming up with numerous services. There's like many number of services, environmental considerations, mobilization of resources, housing, just to give you some examples. Yes, that's a tough issue to address. We understand that there's probably going to have some temporary housing options. We're working on that very quickly with the province right now. And also they're going to probably need additional support services. We're going to work to get together with them to get them through this.
Are you concerned that some of the people who lost homes might just leave the area and might not come back at all?
I sure hope not. I mean, we want them to come home. This is Slave Lake. This is their community. And, I mean, it's up to those families to make those decisions, but we want them home. Well, for essential workers, we're already looking at vacant options in our community, apartment complex that don't have residents currently, looking at possibly modular mobile homes, those kinds of temporary housing. No.
Can you speak to safety in terms of getting 7,000 people on the highway coming?
Unbelievable.
Are there going to be cruisers along the way, tow trucks, or what's going to happen?
Well, we have I mean, we're going to have a safe and orderly return. I have to say we have a strong contingent of RCMP who've just been incredible supporting us on our highways, and we're working with our Alberta Transportation with that. Yeah.
The large Canadian flag.
I know, in Mitsu.
What does it mean to you to see that?
I know. It's very emotional. I am sure that's our firefighters. It's on our ladder truck. We often put that up in the community. It just makes us proud that we're resilient. We're Canadians. We have those resources in place, and it's very emotional to see that.
Are there still dangers in town? Like I know there was exploding ammunition and media were doing a tour.
Yeah. No, I don't think we would be re-entry without those types of things in control. No. Yeah. No smoldering fires within. No. Okay.
To the phases of people, like it's essential people first, and then what's the next phase, and then like how many levels are there until the average person
Well, I know them. There's 4 phases, and we're in phase 2 with the return of essential workers. Our next phase is key businesses, getting those up and running, and examples are banks and grocery stores, those types of businesses, giving people an opportunity for business continuity, coming in and getting their essential equipment. And then, of course, the final phase is repopulation of our entire community. You guys are quiet.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thing I can tell you from my experience, and maybe others may want to share there, it's just even hearing that dog barking, just sounds in your community that is part of everyday living. The lights, seeing your friends come back, that's very emotional. Other things, pardon? Showering. Oh, hot showers, to flush a toilet. I mean, those things were... food. I haven't seen any TV yet, but but all those things will be in place here shortly. So, anyone else want to add any personal experiences? Oh, yeah. Okay. Lip chap for the firefighters.
I have one comment.
Oh, you have a comment?
Are there still teams playing hockey? And who's winning? And are the Vancouver Canucks still in? Just some of the questions that we wonder. Oh, and about, I'd sure like to get out of these clothes and get into some of my own.
We prioritize the businesses based on, I guess, an estimation of what we need in terms of the essentials in town. We'll bring those people back. We know that that won't be perfect, but we'll be in direct contact with those businesses so they can bring their staff in. There's a number of health inspections and those sorts of things that need to occur concurrently, and we're going to ensure that when we fire up, we're all ready for business. Well, just about everything. We had no loss of power. We had a loss of power here. When we arrived, the TELUS building was actually on fire. When they put it out, we actually downed the generators and we're on battery backup. Had we lost those sorts of things, we would have lost everything in town in terms of our cell phones and our telecommunications. I can't believe the efforts that the town has made to get everything back online. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about gas and electricity. There's been huge steps taken in every way, shape, and form. The collaboration amongst the services is incredible. So just pick a topic and look around you. The traffic lights came on this morning. When we arrived here, we walked into a hotel after the first sort of 40 hours of being awake, and we got hotels. There was no one there to check us in. It was the oddest feeling to go walk down and kind of select a room and just walk into it. All the doors were open, and we just selected rooms and took them for the night. I felt kind of guilty. But, there's just a broad range. This community was on its knees. And you know what's interesting is that notwithstanding it being on its knees, it stood up right away and it fought back. And this is one heck of a resilient and dynamic community. I'm impressed.
We have a very good waste management plan, assistance with removing any contaminants, also a waste management plan, where that's going to go. All those details have been worked out and will be communicated to those residents when they return. If I may just have a moment, we did have a loss in this whole disaster, and that was the pilot in the helicopter. It's not a day that goes by that our thoughts and prayers are out to that person's family. So it's very much in our mind, and it's something that we're trying to deal with as well. Well, the essential workers have been contacted directly, and then we're going to use our communication centers across, and hopefully when our communications are out, hopefully our media will help us get that message out to everybody as well.
So if someone hears this news conference and wants to know, can I just drive in now? How should they find out when they can come?
Should we give them the number?
We'll make that available through a wide variety of mechanisms. We will inform the media. We will put it out on the Facebook site and any other social media capacity that we can. So our job is to endeavor to get as many people back as soon as we can in a coordinated but safe fashion. And so we will be ensuring that we communicate with everybody that we can. When we start to repopulate, yes, we will, because we'll be doing it in a two-phase portion when we're in phase 4. The north part of the community, north of the tracks, will come in first, and then the south part of the community will come in second. We just don't want to overcrowd the roadways, and we've been working closely with Alberta Transportation and the RCMP to ensure that we're going to reduce the speed limits on the roads around town and ensure that we have sort of an orderly repopulation of the town. It's the value of the close working relationship with the RCMP. We'll be able to understand exactly who they are and where they need to go based on the vehicles they're driving or other equipment they might have with them. Oh, you bet. We're talking about bringing a large population back into a community in an orderly fashion, and there will be people who will want to look at the community and try and understand exactly what's happened. We've all gone through that. They need to go through it themselves, and there's a comprehensive process. It'll start right at the first check stop when you're given information by the RCMP about what you can expect. And that will follow through to the Community Reception Center, where you'll be given additional tools and assistance in terms of coping. We've got a large organization here, folks, that is going to be well coordinated in terms of trying to provide assistance. So let me say, though, whilst it's large and whilst it's well coordinated, it's not going to be perfect. And we're going to do our very best. We have to balance, though, the importance of getting people back into their community versus taking time to get it perfect. And so it won't be perfect, but it'll be good. There is a strong contingent coming from Alberta Health Services and being supported by other non-governmental organizations that will be available at the Resource Center for people, and that we hope that if we're overwhelmed, we'll bring more resources in. Our priority here is to take care of the community.
Less than 2 weeks ago, when people were first getting a sense of the damage, a lot of officials who were here were saying it looked like a war zone. It looked like a nuclear bomb had dropped. How is it surprising that in this short of a time already bringing back people into a community that where the situation was so stark such a short time ago?
Well, I didn't think that we'd be standing here today telling you that we're at phase 2 of our plan and moving towards phase 4 within several days. This, in my mind, was a 3-week to a month job to get people back home, and it's a tribute. And I said it before. It's a tribute to the responders and to the people of this community. They do not lay down easily, and they're out there. And like I said, there's some incredible stories one day to be told here in this community about people. The person who's working with me today lost everything. And you know what? She's here every morning and she's working. And there's some incredible stories about how this community just gets up and gets going. And I'll tell you, I'm impressed. And the responders that are behind me are inspired by that. And they don't want to go home until everybody else comes home. Thank you.
The people on the South Shore, the communities of Asno, Canyon Creek, Wagner, Widewater, as well as the MD property on the east side of the town, will be repatriated at the same time as the people coming into Slave Lake on the north side. I just thought I'd like to let you know that.
My understanding is the First Nation will also be included in that first wave. Thanks.
Sorry, Chief.
Yeah.
Should have said that.
So just one other item. I know many businesses have been calling me, and as you can imagine, many have lost their homes, but they don't want to lose their livelihood. We've made that a priority, obviously, and their reentry will be here in the next couple of days. So that's something also to consider, is people getting back to work, continue their life so they can provide for their families. So thank you very much, everyone, for being here and supporting Slave Lake and region.